We're Hughes and Coleman, 1-800-489-6000.
Welcome back to Wave 3 Listens Live. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're at U of L Hospital on the grounds, as you can see out here on this beautiful day. It is absolutely fabulous, and I hope that you were just here to join us and see the helicopter take off. That was pretty spectacular. Not one of the things that you usually get to see with live television, I have to tell you. Let me introduce you to Ben Hughes, right? Ben Hughes, you're the Director of Nursing in the Trauma Center?
Correct, yeah. I oversee all of the operations for the Trauma Center here, and myself works with Dr. Franklin and the other trauma surgeons, Dr. O'Brien and the other emergency medicine physicians.
Okay, and of course Dr. O'Brien is joining us as well. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about, it's interesting that Dr. Franklin did just bring up the fact that it's the nurses that are so intimately involved with the patients that really see so much more of their care. I mean, obviously, no offense or anything, Dr. O'Brien, I'm sure none taken.
No. They're mission critical. I mean, and the quality nurses, and I've got to tell you, the nurses here are phenomenal, and there is a sense of mission here that keeps some nurses coming back despite the hardships. They could work less and probably be paid more elsewhere. I'm in trouble for saying that, but but there is a real mission here and a sense of accomplishment, and it is a unique environment. There isn't another place in the region where they get to see the types of patients that they're seeing and manage as complex and perhaps as independently as here. It's a draw.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a mixed blessing for you, obviously, Ben, that you've got this the challenges that are faced by the nurses here at the U of L Hospital.
Right. I mean, the nurses here are very much unique. Again, like Dr. O'Brien said, the training and the education that they have to go through, I would venture to say, is above and beyond really what the typical nurse has in a typical hospital. The depth of knowledge of advanced pathophysiology, and the years of training it takes to take care of a trauma patient when they roll through the door. It's a really big deal, and like Dr. O'Brien said, I'm sure they could go make a living much easier elsewhere, but they love it. They come in here every day and do it without question.
Well, and it's interesting, too, we've had a couple of callers today that have actually told their stories of going through the emergency department to the trauma center, their success stories, happily, and I'm sure that that's the kind of thing that really for your nursing staff can be totally, totally gratifying.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, every time a patient walks or comes through the door here via EMS or via the helicopter crew, we pour 110% into them. You know, our mission is to keep that patient alive no matter how sick, get the docs to them, get them to the operating room, get them to the intensive care unit, whatever the situation may dictate. It's all available here 24/7, 365.
And I think what's interesting, too, is the nursing staff learns so much more of the story behind the critical care, if you will. I mean, for instance, we are all familiar with the story of the nanny, Allison Maya. I mean, what a brave young woman! What a just absolutely unbelievable thing that she did. And she came here to U of L to get treated.
She did. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned a whole lot, we're one of the burn hospitals here in the state, along with University of Kentucky, and we see a significant amount of burn injuries, like the young lady saw. Again, it's just drawing national attention now. But we take care of a significant number of burn patients, specifically in the winter, people trying to stay warm with heaters and campfires and things like that. We're switching to trauma season now, but our burn season, if you will, is in the middle of winter.
That's interesting that you live your lives by these seasons. Yeah. Trauma season, burn season, and summertime is truly trauma season, right?
It is. Everybody is out, everybody's having fun, everybody's dusting off their motorcycles or their four-wheelers, and we see a real spike in that type of trauma. Okay.
It is unfortunate, but the reality of the situation. We have a caller on the line that has a question. Kelly is on the line. Hi, Kelly.
Hey.
How you doing today, Kelly?
Okay.
Okay, good.
I just had a comment. I just wanted to let everybody know that my son was involved in an accident 3 years ago. He didn't make it, but the surgeons everywhere from the time we walked into that hospital 5 days later when we left without him, the nurses, the doctors, everybody was amazing. We saw Dr. Franklin a couple of times, talked to him. But I just wanted everybody, for the worst time of my life, everybody there made it better than what I would have ever imagined.
Well, Kelly, it's very brave of you to get on the telephone and make that call today, to make that comment. And I think that really does speak very well for the University of Louisville Hospital and, of course, to the nursing staff, that someone that goes through the tragedy of losing a son can actually say that you guys made it better than
Yeah, we actually, the families really are the second victim in any traumatic injury of a loved one. You know, patients, it's not uncommon for patients to be in the hospital here a week, 2 weeks, a month even, and we really get to know the families very, very well. And, you know, they need as much information or more a lot of times than the patients do. Unfortunately, the patients would be in a coma and things like that. So we spend a significant amount of time working with the families, and everybody has a story, and everybody comes from a completely different background. So that's one of the biggest things that we try to focus on is the family. Patient, obviously, number one in keeping them alive, but really the families are the second victim, if you will.
Oh, I think absolutely. The ones that are left behind. So your staff, Ben, in the trauma center, do they move from emergency department to trauma center, or are they strictly trauma center nurses?
They're all specifically trained to take care of trauma patients in the emergency department. And what will happen is if the patient goes to the operating room, and then they'll end up in the surgical intensive care unit. So it's really a handoff, if you will, of that patient to the different levels of care, different types of nursing and specialists, things like that. A lot of times they have to spend a lot of time in radiology, getting CAT scans, MRIs, things like that. So, but there's always the continuity of care in general, and that's usually the nurse.
Well, and it is interesting, too, because I think that that's one of the advantages, of course, of the University of Louisville Hospital, because you guys have implemented these comprehensive care programs, in part because you are a teaching hospital, and that's one of the things that goes hand in hand with that, but also in part because you do make an effort to put those teams together. That word has come up quite a lot today.
Yeah, I think team is at the core of all of this. There are just too many disciplines and too many issues that you're handling parallel. You just have to have that, and if you don't have that, you really don't have much. You have a conglomerate of bits and pieces, but the team is what makes it bigger than the whole.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you are interested, of course, in talking to one of the, or any of the 450 physicians here at the University of Louisville Hospital, you can contact them directly. 813-ULUL or 813-8585 is that telephone number. You can go ahead and call and make an appointment for non-emergency or traumatic care. And we are going to take a real quick break. Stay with us, and we'll be right back with Listens Live.
When I heard I had cancer,